Yes.
Hey, we back.
How you doing?
I'm good, my man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely had to appreciate yesterday. There was quite a lot that we went through, especially, you'd be surprised how many people are really curious about those days of GR Productions and all this stuff because so much richness, but it then disappeared and moved on. So yeah, but it's going to be great to focus a lot on your stuff, your production. We've got a lot of questions that have come through, but so throughout this, I'll be dropping them in.
All right,
Um,
all right.
but I know we rushed a little bit, but I guess a lot of fans who always remember Tony Thompson, High Five and stuff, and we knew that he came out with his debut album, had a lot of big producers on it, but it didn't do as good as it should. But one of his first singles was the one that you guys sort of. But how come Babyface wrote and produced it, but then you guys came in on board? What was
Well,
the reason for that?
well, originally it was Babyface's producer John who did the record, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the records that was on his album, and I just thought that they thought that the record, because of the writing, Babyface's writing, what I'm saying, so they wanted to do like a remix to upgrade the record itself.
Yeah.
And initially, Ted wasn't involved in it. What I'm saying, it's like he said no to the project initially, but Ted's cousin that was kind of handling the project at the time, because Tony was going in and out of town with his manager, and they were working on other stuff on that project. I think Little Chris has got a record with Dave Hollister on there or something like that. But he asked me to start doing the remix on it. So basically, that's how Ted got involved in it, because what I was putting down, he really liked it. He was like, "Okay, what's that for?" And I was like, "Okay, for the Tony Thompson record." And he was like, "I like that. Let's go to the A room with it." And that's usually how our relationship was. I'll get something started and start working on something, and I end up in the A room, what I'm saying, versus just doing it by myself. So um, yeah, so they just wanted to upgrade the record, and then like I said, when we got done with our part, I think Babyface wanted to change something with the record, and we were going to LA anyway to work with Mike. So while we were out there, we just finished up the record.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, what did you make of the whole album? Because I said he had, from Devontae Swing, Babyface, he had very big producers, but I don't know how
Well,
it.
that was that time where saying that Tony was going through that little phase with the issues that he was having. So I think that it was contributed to that. You know what I'm saying? And really just basically on him. You know what I'm saying, being in place to do, I guess, what needed to be done with the record, because like the record was moving pretty good. It's like but you wasn't seeing Tony anywhere doing any live
Promotion.
performances.
Okay, that's probably why.
So I think that's probably what contributed to the record not, really taking off like they wanted to, or the project not taking off like they wanted to. I think they kind of stepped back from it when he was having those issues, personal issues.
Yeah. Okay. So no, that's helped it up. The now, I did you say you were in LA to do stuff with Mike? Mike, I would take this as Michael Jackson, or is it Mike?
Yes, yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. Well, so when Mike got the first little case with the kid thing, we were
Yeah.
working on the Adams Family movie
Okay.
soundtrack.
Yes. Okay.
That was, what I'm saying, we were working on that. That's the first time I met him. So we were working on that project, and we were kind of deep into it when that situation happened, and so that's when we were out working with Mike on. That's when I got the first chance to work with him.
What song was it that you did with him?
It's called Family Thing. I've been trying to get Ted to man. I've been trying to get Ted to get people to release that record forever, man.
Oh, so he actually laid down vocals on it?
The record was pretty much maybe about 80% done.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's thing house. It's a family thing. I mean, really fit the sound. I mean, fit the movie great. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's so they end up getting MC Hammer to
Yeah, yeah, the family.
replace it. But
Yeah, it was.
man, it was. I mean, like I said, I always try to get Teddy to like, man, bring that record back, bring that record out, man. Like, do something. And let's get that record released.
Yeah.
But I still haven't, I guess, I don't know if the movie company had rights to it or what.
Okay. Yeah. What did it sound like? I mean, was it like
Um,
Dangerous or
um,
Remember the
uh,
Time, or what would you think it should sound like?
it was New Jack Swing. It was R&B. Mike was, the funny part, like Mike was doing a lot of the, saying the new style stuff, and then we were trying to get him to come back to a more R&B ish, saying
Yeah.
type of music, saying. So, it still had that sound like probably from the Remember Time album vibe, something like that. But
Yeah.
but it really had a heavy swing. What's the Tammy Lucas? I don't know how you feel.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It probably felt more like that record.
Wow. Who did the writing on it?
Mike actually did the writing. We went out and we had the beat. We put the beat down and we went out and then he came in. Mike, Angela, Renee from Angela and Renee.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he was on the project. First time I ever met Bruce Sweetie, he was doing that time.
How was
And
it like though, meeting Mike and Bruce, legendary?
man, listen, it's kind of crazy because I tell people the story about me meeting Mike for the first time. And at the studio, they had the studio blocked out, of course, because of Michael Jackson coming in. And he had all these video games brought to the studio. And I'm a video game fanatic. I love video games, but I was actually back playing one of his games, and I just happened to see these pale hands on the control next to me because because like the game I was playing, you have to be into it. So and and I was like, I was saying to myself like, God, ladies are pale hands right here. Who hands are these? And then he started to talk, and I was like, I kind of like freaked out for a second. I was like, oh snap, it's Michael Jackson. And he was like, oh, go over here and shoot that. I mean, it's his game, so he knew how to. So I was bugging out, man. And so even though we lost, he's like, he was like, well, I know you're here to, saying because you're back here, you're working here with me. So he's like, who are you working with? I'm like, I'm with Teddy. He's like, he's like, oh, okay. He asked me, of course, asked me my name and all that stuff. But that's like the first time. That's how I met him. And it was like super odd, but it was cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did you learn much from the small time you were with him and Bruce? And what did you learn? I mean,
most definitely. Bruce, Bruce is I mean, well, Mike, is a genius when it comes to music because, like, when we were working on a project, he was doing. I thought it was it kind of chuckled me for a minute because like Ted would play the beat and then Mike would be in the booth and he'd be doing the beatbox thing. So he'd be beating on his
wow.
chest and dancing and
Wow. Proper
he had his
feeling it?
own rhythm, huh?
He's feeling it, like really feeling the music?
Yeah, man. He would be in the booth and you can like the mic is on, so it's live. You can hear him. He was doing this thing and he's beating
Wow.
on his chest and just patting his feet, snapping his fingers,
Wow.
and then he'll say a few words. You know what I'm saying? So Ted was like, you know what I'm saying, he's kind of like trying to put it together. You know what I'm saying, like the words. So that's
Oh,
how he was writing.
oh, so he'll do like that, and then he'll use that to start writing the songs?
Yeah, he would like do stuff and he was like, come up with melodies and things like that, and write certain little words. And
Wow.
then he put out a little basis, maybe like a semi hook, and then from there he took it to the house in Neverland Valley, and then we went out a day and he finished the vocals pretty much, saying for the rough at his studio at his home.
Wow.
So it was, I mean, it was a very eventful, man, and it's crazy. It's crazy that saying I got a chance to work with him because where I'm from, his mother is actually from, his mother's family is from where I'm from.
Okay.
In Alabama anyway. And I went to church with like some of his cousins and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I never got a chance to tell him because I just found out, saying the last maybe 3 years
Okay.
that was the case. And I was like, wow, because I
If you
found
had
out what
no.
his mom's last name was.
Okay.
But yeah, man, he taught me like, I've always done music, but I he'd do things, and I was like, he'd be off tempo, and I was like, dang, Mike kind of off tempo with that. And he was like, but I noticed that he was in the same place every time. It wasn't like he was off, but he was just, just missing. He would be off in the same place. So I was like, yo, Ted, ain't Mike off? I said, but he off in the same place. So is he doing it on purpose? And so when he came out of the booth, I asked him about, about that, like that process. And he was like, well, music is a circle. So, music is a circle. It's like where you put something on the beat is kind of like where you lay it at, you know what I'm saying? So, normally, you 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, that kind of beat. But he's like this, 1, 2, like that. So he would put stuff like really late or, you know what I'm saying? But he laid these intricate harmonies over it and just felt so crazy.
Wow. I mean, and I guess, you've had one of the few people who've actually, recorded him and stuff like that. And we've only been privileged to watch him on TV or maybe luckily at a concert. But the guy behind the scenes, so he's not, he's not playing with chimpanzees. The actual guy in the studio. I mean, the hard. As an engineer and a producer, what was it like for you just seeing that and then learning that and then taking that on compared to when you're working with other artists?
Well, like I say, with him, it was like super comfortable because he was like really into the people that were in the room. So like, if other people value your opinion, like, so say Teddy's like a producer. So he like, would ask me little things about, saying what I thought about, what was going on. So I thought that was, saying for me, it was, super fabulous, but I thought it was interesting because, he's Michael Jackson. So I'm a new producer. I'm still kind of new, but I'm like, he really asking me my opinion. And like, he and I kind of hit it off, and it's like, man, he bought me my first PlayStation.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
Yeah, man. It's like, so we kind of hit it off, and like, so after we did that, he would always call the studio, and he always asked for Ted.
Future?
And then he asked for Ted. He always asked for Ted by Theodore, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, Theodore.
He would laugh about it, and, but he knew my voice, which I thought was super cool. And so, and so it's like that whole experience for me was like, saying, after you work with Michael Jackson, saying, like, the rest is
yeah. I mean, and I guess that the reason I asked about that is because you then have worked with other artists, from Blackstreet to Terrell and Usher and Case and all that. But then, do you then think, I've worked with Mike, and if somebody's, saying, look, man, I can't record today, I'm come back tomorrow, do you think, wait a minute, the most successful recording artist in the world is very professional in his stuff, man. And you're just acting up, and
I mean, he was dedicated until, things had started happening. It's like, okay, one day he'd be in the studio, and then the next day he'll be in China.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yeah, we're supposed to be in the studio with Mike. Okay, well, he's in China right now. And we'll call on the phone like, oh, sorry, guys. And so it's like we had to deal with that part. And it's like, so that became, it's almost like the everyday artist. Like, some of them, they time their own time. They come to the studio or whatever. So he had little quirks like that made him kind of like, the human side of, what artists were, what I'm saying? But when he was in the studio, he was locked in.
Okay.
He was locked in. He was locked into the vibe, what I'm saying? And when we were working, it was like, okay, we working right now. And that's how he really carried it. It's like, there was a couple of times when once we came back to New York and we was working on the Blood on the Dance Floor album, what I'm saying? We were actually working on new stuff for that project.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? But we ended up using like the Blood on the Dance Floor stuff, and we rehashed that. You know what I'm saying? I'm assisting on that because I didn't actually do that. Was actually done before me.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying? I was assisting on the project, and he would come in and he was like, he would stop and get off the elevators, got the lumberjack mask on, the lumberjack thing on, which I thought was hilarious. He was like, it's like, Sprague, is everybody here working? And I was because we had, how it is, like you got people around the studio.
Yeah.
So I had to get the guys, cleared out, what I'm saying, so that we can, so we could just have the people that were working in the studio. And he would go between the room that we had set up for Ted and Mike, and then like I had a little production room in the back that we had set up that, you know, we just were just making, you know, like ideas and snippets and stuff like that to play for them.
Okay. Oh, so you guys was because Blood on the Dance Floor came out, but it was just the old track, and then you
Yeah,
had Ghost. Were you
right.
supposed to do more songs?
We were supposed to do more songs. I mean, we were in New York, and we were in New York for about a month. So we were just there working. He had Hit Factory booked, like all the Hit Factory, the old Hit Factory booked up, and then he had Sony booked up. So we had we were going between Hit Factory and Sony, and they had the 100-piece orchestra at Sony, and then we had Hit Factory. So he would go between the two, and we were just bouncing ideas off of him to work on new stuff.
But he ended up. What happened then? He didn't record any of them.
I think he recorded a couple of records, but I mean, at the end of the day, he ended up using the Blood on the Dance Floor album, and I thought that you know, saying because we were trying to push him to the R&B thing, so we were like, hey, you know, Mike, let's go, you know, saying let's flip this project and let's go back kind of to a more R&B,
yeah,
you know, R&B edge, you know, saying the you know, the Billie Jeans and the, you know, saying that kind of project. And he was kind of vibing with it for a minute, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, they ended up, you know, I think he was also going through problems with Sony or something like that at the time, you know what I'm saying? So we just ended up, you know, putting that project out, and he just used that old record.
Did he re-record the Blood in the Dance Floor, or was that the one?
No, we didn't. No, well, he didn't record much. Like a couple of little parts he did, but it's like most of the vocal and everything was still there.
From the
just
first
kind
time
of
around.
remixed it and added some new stuff to the beat, you know, so that was there. And like I said, the stuff that they were recording in Sony, I think that's the stuff I think they ended up using on the 2000 album with the Butterfly record and all that stuff. So like that vibe is where we were trying to go.
Yeah, so the Butterflies, the Heaven Can't Wait, the Break of Dawn.
Right. So we were trying to go there, like, so, and I don't like some of the stuff that's on there. There's none of the stuff that I remember that we did from the New York sessions. I don't think none of that stuff. I mean, maybe. If it is, it's something that like maybe they did at Sony and they, you know, saying Ted added something to it. But yeah, man, it's like, you know, it's crazy because like, you know, we were trying to get him there, and then like, you know, years later he comes out with that vibe.
Yeah, and I think it was too late by that time. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's been great. Now, I think the other question that that somebody came out with, and I guess it's so by this time now, it seems as if you're working a lot with Teddy on certain projects. I think the Blackstreet album, because that was post Guy, and it was probably, I think, my favorite Blackstreet album. Even though Another Level is probably the one that made all the money, but I think the reason why I liked the original one, it was just had a lot more richness with the sounds, had a lot more variety. It didn't sound mechanical. It just felt like it almost felt like they were. It's very similar to the Bobby album. It felt like it felt really organic. Soulful. Yeah, it felt organic. That's a better word. What was it like when you guys were doing that then? And did you know the lot of tracks on it? Did you all have? Okay, you do these 2 tracks, or you do these 3, or what was it like? How did you pick?
I mean, it was more like, you know, saying it's like, you know, we didn't really know what the project was gonna be, so it was like, you know, we had writers Sherry, Karen Anderson, a few other writers that was like around. Tammy Lucas, I think, is on there. It's like, you know, we had a bunch of Leon Silvers. There were a bunch of, you know, saying people that was around. So we were like basically creating all these demos. You know what I mean? So I think we recorded like 40 records.
40, wow.
Yeah, to get that album. So it's like, you know, we recorded a lot of records. So it's like, hey, what do you think about this record? So, you know, as we start putting the stuff together, then it started to kind of like formulate into a project. And then when Dave came in, then it took a little different flavor.
Oh, so who had Stone Street left by the time Dave came, or what happened?
Stone Street was he hadn't left. Well, when Dave first came, Stone Street was, you know, saying was gone, and because like he was having that little substance thing,
Okay.
And saying that wasn't really working for the guys or Ted, and so they was like looking for somebody that could come in, and then somebody brought Dave to the table, and it was pretty much the over after that.
So what was it like with Dave? Because he already had, he had a background with Uptown and Mary, so he was very seasoned.
Yeah,
I think compared to everyone else, did it seem as if he was the lead guy, or what was it like as a
yeah. I
producer
mean, pretty
watching
much.
him?
I mean, Dave was that soulful edge that it was that soulful edge that the group, what I'm saying? Because Chauncey's more, I call Chauncey more like the poor man babyface. You know what I'm saying? That's my dude. I mean, he's more into like that kind of tone, and then he's more like a comedian. He can kind of sit in different things. So that's why you have a lot of records that Chauncey was just on, because he can sit into that flow of that record, sit into that flow of that song.
Yeah.
Whereas the other people kind of had their niches. Like Dave really had his niche, you know what I'm saying? So, and then Levi was, was a more soulful singer. I like, I like, I call like Levi's like a Isaac Hayes, or,
Yeah.
a Marvin Gaye, that vibe. So he's more like a soulful singer. And then Chauncey just had that little swaggy style that, that made records work.
Yeah. So what did you? So what? So you? Because I remember you said you did. I like the way you work it, and you
Like the
did.
way you work, Confessions. I worked on Love's a Need. Before I Let You Go, I'm on that. What else is on there? That I'm on. I think it's another record on there. But then there's stuff that I produce vocals on, like maybe about half of it,
Okay.
and drum programming on maybe like 75% of it. Just programming, stuff that that I didn't necessarily write, but I had to program records on it.
Yeah. Did you, when you guys finished the album, did you think this is because this was Ted's first thing after Guy? Did you guys think, well, this is good? Because
I felt like we had at the time. I felt like we had about 4 or 5 records on there that were like hits. Like for like I was a big fan of Love's in Need, Like the Way You Work, Before I Let You Go, Good Loving. Oh, that's my joint.
Yeah.
So it's just like I feel like there was enough records on the album that the album could have been a success, because like I said, they were a new group, and then I like it. Like for me, it's like it's a hodgepodge of records. Like everybody kind of like start putting stuff together, and like so it was more like that organic. Hey, we got a bunch of good records. This should be this is a good album.
But then, I mean, it did platinum. It did sort of 1 million in the UK, in the US alone, and had some big singles. But when you have Teddy joining a group, what happens to you guys as producers? How does the work get done? Because then there's work coming in, and he's out on the road promoting Blackstreet. What happens to you guys?
That's where like that's where we start kicking in with a lot of work. So it's like myself, Will, at that time Mucho was going back and forth to Atlanta. And so it would be, mainly us. Eric Williams not Eric Williams, but that was on the second album. But on the first album, it's pretty much me, Ty, Mucho, and he's going back and forth to Atlanta. So David Wynn, was another producer that was working with us, and so it was kind of like that crew. It's like we were kind of like, hey, responsible for doing whatever got brought to the table, and Ted would just come in and say, hey, we need a remix for Hammer. We need a remix for Will Smith. We need, Father MC. We need, this, so it's like we all got the assignment, and like, whichever one was the best, was usually the lead. And then, like I said, Ted took things where he integrated stuff from those other mixes inside of those mixes. And then, that's why you had those different, saying the Sprague Doogie mix or the Ted drum Pella mix, or those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay, so by this time was that 69 with the Father MC? You did the remix?
Yeah, 69. So yeah, we were working on that record. That was Ted and Mucho on that, and then I added some stuff into it, but it was like more or less I think there was like this drum breaker thing, something like that they used from the one that I was using in there. So I don't never like count that as something that I produced in the day. Okay. It was just something small like that.
Yeah. But so when he was out, so it was I guess the question then becomes, what were the ones that you enjoyed doing during that early days? Some of the stuff that
For
you're
me, of
proud of.
course, SWV is like my favorite because that's like my first ones, SWV,
Mm.
and you know that and the Whitney Houston, and of course, and Mary J. Blige, My Love, and saying, and Changes. So
So
those
was it both you and Mucha that worked on the My Love and Changes?
yes,
Okay. Did Heavy come in to do the vocals for his rap?
yes, he did, and
Okay.
he came in, and Mary came and did some stuff for the record that we added to the little things that we wanted to add.
Oh, so she actually okay? Because I didn't know if they used her old vocals. She actually did she re-record the whole thing or?
No, no, just little pieces that we wanted to add inside of there that we needed for the record. You know what I'm saying? To make it feel a certain way. So, but
Okay.
most of that stuff was already there.
What was yeah? Did you do any? I mean, because yeah, Heavy's was my favorite MC. Just the nicest, lovable guy. Did did you? But you guys didn't do. Did you do anything for his? Did you work with him outside of that Mary stuff?
No, actually, I didn't. I mean, I didn't get a chance to work with him outside of the marriage stuff. I mean, I started kind of doing stuff with Eddie F a little bit later on, but saying pretty much at that point, they were kind of like Head was kind of doing his own thing during that time. So
Okay.
I,
Okay.
saying besides that, that one, those songs that I didn't get a chance to work with him outside of that.
Okay. So then during this time that you guys did the Usher, I Will.
Yes.
So how did that come about? And that
Um,
particular,
with that situation, it was more or less they asked Teddy to do a record, you know what I'm saying, and the label said no.
which label?
The
The
Teddy's
Face?
label, I think it was like was it Interscope
Interscope?
at the time,
Yeah,
said no.
Interscope. Oh, but he's a producer. What? I don't get it.
Well, Usher was a new artist, so Ted had this like stipulation, I guess, in his contract that he couldn't really work on new artists uh without a certain stipulation, without certain things happening.
Wow.
So like when you get to be a super huge producer, sometimes the labels will put that because that's a competition label. So it wasn't like Usher was on
Oh,
Interscope; he was on
okay.
another label. So what I'm saying, and there can be it's like Interscope had his own R&B dude or whatever at the time. So
Okay.
it's like a competition thing. So they was like, well, I don't know about Ted doing the record. So what ended up happening is Ted was like, well, saying they couldn't stop us from doing the record. So we end up, I end up doing the record at the end of the day.
Okay. But then how does Ted's name get added onto it then? What happens with
Well,
that then?
Ted, like they wrote the record, you know what I'm saying? Like me and Ted did the production or whatever, and then they wrote the record. So they got a chance to put his name on there as a writer, so they still could use him
Oh,
as a writer, but they couldn't use him as a produced by.
okay. Okay. But how did it? But for Usher stuff, what happened? Did you who did actual the work? Who wrote it
Well,
and produced
like I
it?
said, Ted and I originally put the record together. So of course he did the talk box and all that stuff. The record we submitted it to LA, and they liked the record. They sent Usher up. He had Eric Williams and I were working with the vocal, because he was on the record as a writer as well. So we were working on the record, getting the record done. Initially, it was too high, so we were trying to get it done. But then there were parts that were like, okay, we can't even use this stuff. So
Oh, what do you mean?
we had to actually go back in the studio and drop the record to like two keys, and then so I had to kind of like go back in and do like a bunch of talk box stuff over because saying it was too low for us to just change it. Like it ain't like now where you can just get in the Pro Tools and just pitch it down two keys and
Okay.
everything's great. It's like then you couldn't do that, so I had to sit in the studio with engineer John Haynes and just basically try to mimic everything Teddy's doing on
Okay.
the vocalist. Saying to put the background vocals back in two keys down.
Okay.
And saying that's how we end up doing the record, and then Usher came and re-sang it, and the record was done.
Did you know at that time that he was when you saw Usher? Did you think, man, this guy's going to be, the star that he turned out to be?
I
Could
mean,
you
he
tell?
and I actually had that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, he was like, working with us, at the time, because we were working with Teddy, a lot of cats would come to the studio and they'd be asking advice from like anybody, the producers, that were like kind of close in. And being that I was like, Ted's right hand, it's like they were asking me stuff, and I was, I gave him to talk about, him being the next Bobby Brown. Like, yo, like, dude, you really have a, unique situation. You can be, because I knew he could dance
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
from the Usher, I mean, from the Puffy stuff. And it's like, I'm saying, I'm like, yo, dude, you really got an opportunity to be like the next Bobby Brown. You just got to really sit in the records and make them your own.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a hell of a debut, and I think the Puffy track and the Devontae one too, the one we did with
Yeah,
Devontae.
exactly.
Yeah,
So, I mean, so the record, the record came out, the record took off, and what I'm saying, it was great. It was a great situation.
yeah. Does it now as a producer writer when you do work on an album and it doesn't get released as a single? Do you get upset about that, or does it make a difference?
It depends. I mean, it's like, it depends on how they do a record. You know what I'm saying? It's like it depends on how the label works the record. I mean, if they're working the record and the record is not doing anything, then not necessarily, because it's like the whole record wasn't there. But if the record is good, and like, you hope you get to a point where they use one of your records as a single. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
And I think they probably would have used "I Will" as a single, but we had an issue with the guy that wrote "Penny for Your." He was like, basically, it was saying like, we took the record and we sampled this record and did that record, which that wasn't that case. It was like, everybody knows the cliche. You know what I'm saying? The nickel for your thoughts, penny for your kiss, and we just
Yeah.
they basically wrote another record. And
Oh,
so they kind of held that record up in court with some stuff, and then so that record never came out as a single, but it was supposed to.
okay. But then did you guys won the case or?
No, I mean, like at the end of the day, I mean, for me, it didn't. For me, it messed with some of my things at the end of the day. My funds on it for the production side, but I don't think that they handled it properly in court or whatever, and they didn't. I don't think they actually went to court and made sure that it got taken care of. So, what I'm saying, the guy ended up winning the case, and he took a lot of the percentage of the record as far as the writers
Wow.
are concerned.
Wow. Yeah, because that I asked people to vote for some of your top productions, and that was by over 50%. Most people prefer that track to some of the other things that you did. So that was Usher. Now, a track that I have on my playlist many years on is Terrell Hicks' "Distant Lover."
Yeah.
It's and I have the extended 6 minute version of it. So I just love the continuous the beats. How did that come about? And people ask about how come she didn't come up with something else after that. But anyway, how did the whole project come about?
That was saying we were working with Motown and doing stuff with Motown, so they was like, we got this artist Terrell Hicks, saying, can y'all come up with something for her, because they was looking for her to be like the next Whitney, or saying vibe. So initially Ted had a song that he had for Whitney, and they end up using it, the Anyway song.
Okay.
That was a record for Whitney. So they end up using it, but it was like, okay, I like the record, but can we do some other stuff? So he just basically just like, yo, we got Terrell, we're gonna do this record. Y'all come up with something while we got her here. And while she was recording, we were recording the Anyway record, I was working on, saying something myself. So it was myself and Sherry Blair, just kind of like putting down this vibe, and I was like, okay, Then she was like, Distant Lover, and I was like, well, that could work, People might play off the whole Distant Lover, the old school Distant Lover vibe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because of the title, but the record doesn't really sound like that.
Yeah.
So we just started putting the record together, and we brought Terrell in to start playing around with demo it, and you know, saying Ted was like, I like this record. You know what I'm saying? Let's go and let's go to the A room and let's get the vocals up. Because you know, we always started stuff in the little pre-production lab, which was our B room.
Okay.
And then so we got that record finished. Then you had Chad and Pharrell that came up with the How Can I Get Over You record. So it's like the camp kind of like, you know, came together just to feel the order of, hey, then we have Terrell down here. Let's see how many records we can come up with.
Okay. How many did you guys do with her?
4, I think, all together.
Okay. And so, but was Distant Lover, was that it didn't, it's strange enough, it wasn't her biggest one, but it was, you know, how do you think it
like
did?
Silly was her biggest record, I think, was from them. And it's like, that's, but for me, I think like it's more or less, for me, I think the visual thing kind of hurt the Distant Lover record. Like the visual, cause like, you know, then it's like everybody's watching videos, and the video was kind of,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But I know that like a couple places that like a couple of the record programmers like would play that record, you know, every morning. Like, you know, in Virginia here, they would play it every morning. So it was like the theme song here for like months. You know what I'm saying? They were just like, you know, the morning radio show, we get up and that's the record that we'll play.
Yeah. I mean, that's still one of my favorite ones, especially the extended stuff. But you're right. I think the visuals probably did hurt it. Now you mentioned Chad and Pharrell. By this time, were they still with the camp with you guys, or what were they?
Yeah, they still were doing stuff with the camp. They were actually working on their project. You know, they was working on the Neptunes project.
Okay.
Which, you know, which they ended up separating before they did that. And I think Ted used a couple of records on Guy. What's the one he used to covers on Mike? What's Mike's last name? I can't think Mike's last name right now. He was in a group with them originally. You know what I'm saying? What's Mike's last name? I'm having a brain fart right now on Mike's last name, but he was in a group with Pharrell, Mike, Chad, and what's it called? That's in the group now. That's in the Nerds, NERD. Yeah. So it was literally 4 of them.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So they were working on their project, and Mike was the lead singer of the group.
Oh, not Pharrell.
No, not Pharrell.
Okay.
So they were working on this, like it was more like an R&B meets the Diggable Planets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like that Look in the Water record. Look.
Yeah.
That was their record. That was their record.
And then Mike leaves, or what happened?
Yeah, Mike Etheridge. That's his name, Mike Etheridge. Mike, I mean, I think they had some kind of issue, and then like Chad and them decided, you know, they were separating with the group, and then they kind of like just started doing production. You know what I'm saying? They just started more or less concentrating on the production.
But were they still under you guys doing the production?
At the time, yeah. And then, you know, then slowly but surely they kind of like faded off. And then before the SWV project actually finished, the SWV project, that second project.
The Human Nature one?
Right, the one that Pharrell and them are on, the Use Your Heart. So they were kind of like, at that point, they were kind of like gone from the camp.
Oh, they were on the Use Your Heart. Okay. But then were you guys surprised when they left?
Not really. I mean, like, you know, saying the undertone was, you know, the thing is about producers that they don't a lot of times when producers work with somebody like a Teddy Ryder or Babyface, it's like, you know, the money gets in the way to a certain degree because, you know, producers think because, you know, Teddy got 75 grand, I should get half of that, you know. But, you know, so I always understood that I wasn't Teddy Ryder. So it's like, you know, I always looked at it like, okay, what would be my value as a producer if that was just my record? Like, what would I get paid?
Okay.
So I always looked at it from that aspect. And when I got to that point where I was a little bit more seasoned, you know what I'm saying, my money went from 2,500 to 10,000, 15,000, 25,000. So I mean, it was growing, but like they never got to do that because, you know, they were like, oh man, Teddy changed this on my record. And it's like, you know, I had to, you know, like sometimes we'll have conversations with them like, yo, dude, like He's a producer. We just here helping him produce the record.
Mm.
So it's like it's up to him to change whatever. They're gonna put his name on it. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Your name will go down there too, but he's a producer that's contracted to produce the record. So he's gonna make it sound like what he's supposed to sound like, Teddy Riley, not, you know what I'm saying, what the Neptunes or what Sprague is supposed to sound like, or anyone else that's producing the record.
Mm. Yeah, and I guess it's very, I think I've spoken to a lot of people, and I guess what you've said is really interesting because I know the Hitmen at some point went, they voiced their concerns about how Puffy was always, he would always have a production credit on it. But in that time, during 93 to about 99,
Yeah,
if you had a Puffy record, it was hot just because Puffy's name was on
his
it. So
name
you
was on
wouldn't,
it.
if you said produced by the Hitmen, it's like who?
What
But
was
if you
that?
said a
Exactly.
Puff
I
Daddy
mean,
remix, it was that was what's getting the airplay. And I think for fans, people would say, "Oh, we all know Teddy," and I can understand how you were seeing it from that point of view because he still has to pay the rent, he still has to pay the
right.
bills, and
Yeah.
it's not as if you take So I guess he has a studio to run, and he still needs to make sure that if the records keep flopping, it's his credit that goes down because they're gonna like, well,
Right.
we're not gonna come back to you.
And see, the thing is, like, at the time, like I said, the people are coming to get Teddy Riley. They're not. It's like, I know you why you looked at the credits, so you saw a few records that said New Jack Swing Crew. So
Yeah.
so that was a combination of all of us. And it's like, okay, he started doing this thing where he didn't necessarily put your name on the record as separately, but he would say, "Oh, produced by the New Jack Swing Crew,"
Mm.
which was our, like, which was our equalization of the hit squad, Puffy's
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
squad. So,
It's Beast by the Pound.
right, so that was kind of like the same kind of vibe. But like I said, people were coming to hire Teddy. They wasn't coming to hire us. I mean,
Yeah.
so we only had like one little time that people were like a butt naked Tim Dog would tell people that saying, if you go into Virginia, you ain't gonna work with Teddy. You're gonna work with those B room cats. But y'all ain't gonna be mad because they dope. And then once y'all get through working with them, then if it's Teddy like that, then y'all will work with Teddy. So, and that's kind of like, what it was. But we were his producers, and he handpicked us because we sounded like what he needed to make, saying his work easier.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it's and I guess because we always assume that that Teddy's working on all these records continuously, and I guess especially when he was in a group, it might become kind of a challenge and stuff. So then with Terrell, then what else were you picking up? Because the case stuff come while you were still there.
Yeah, the case stuff came while I was still there. That was just a thing where we were working in the label and they sent the record, the remix, and Ted was like, okay, this is all right. Basically, this is all right. You know what I'm saying? You want to do this remix? And I was like, at the time, I'm hungry. I'm a new producer, so yeah, I'm trying to work on everything that I can work on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, we do the More to Love record remix, and we're coming up with stuff. And I actually get Bink to work on it with me. You know what I'm saying? And then that was like the first record that we ended up working on, like that project. So it was another thing where it was fun, and I'm getting introduced to artists because it always came like that. Somebody's like one of the remixes, and he's like, okay, you got something for this, or you want to work on this? I mean, Ted would ask us if we wanted to work on it. If it's something that he had to do, then of course he'll just say, hey, I need something for this or whatever. But usually that's how we started working on projects.
Wow. And I think I'm learning a lot more about what a producer is because I think back in the day we assumed the producer was the guy the person who would, actually come up with the whole stuff. But then when you watch a movie, the producer doesn't. The producer gets everyone together
And actually
creates it, makes sure it's like it has the look and feel. So it doesn't mean that they have to
right,
do every
right.
single part. And I think we got sort of spoiled with, Jimmy Diamond Taylor wrote and produced, but not realizing that they had a lot of people putting in little pieces because production back in those days wasn't one person like a Timbaland on a key just doing a beat drum and someone sings over it and then it's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's complete producers who can produce a record and compose a record. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a Timbaland. I'm like that. I can do a whole record, but it's like, once you get to a certain level, you know what I'm saying? Like, Timbaland even had cats producing with them. So, you know what I'm saying? Once you get to a certain level, the demand gets high. It's like, okay, when a label, you got 6 labels all saying, I need a record. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's hard for you as a producer to go like, okay, I need 6 records by the end of the week and I got to do all of them. You know what I'm saying? And not just because 6 records to them is like 20, maybe 15 records to you. Cause you're not like, it ain't like you just go with the first thing you hear. You just kind of like, you come up with stuff like, I like that. I don't know if I'm gonna fit that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so it's like that demand becomes high. So you have to offset it with other people that's around you that can feed you ideas. And you can say, okay, I like that. Let's take it. Let's break it back down. Let's put it like this and recreate it to make, saying what we need at the end of the day.
Yeah. So then I guess the other thing then becomes when you look at some of the other remixes, because there's a English, because I'm in England, I'm talking about like Eternal. They had a song Stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was big in the UK, but it actually had some. It was on Video Soul. It did some. It really bubbled in the US. How did that come to you guys?
Like, I don't know how that record ended up coming to us. I mean, I just know that at the end of the day, Ted was like, okay, we got this Eternal record to do, and he just gave me the original, because we like with that one we had the original. So it's like, you get the original, you take out what you don't want, and then you start to kind of like play with elements of how can I make the record feel like kind of like the record, but then it feels so different that the record just take on its own life.
Yeah. Did they come to do the vocals, or you just used the?
No, they didn't come to do the vocals. We met them. I know we met them in New York, and they did some stuff. But initially the record that we had was, saying from the
Original.
Original, yeah.
Okay. Were you surprised? How did you guys feel when it really started taking off? Did you feel like, job well done, or?
I mean, I loved it because, like I said, I mean, I'm still a new cat to the game. I mean, I started producing in like '92. When I started producing really, I really called myself producing in like 90, 91. And then, then 92, I'm working with my idol and as a producer, mentor, and I'm doing all these records. So anything that I heard that was mine, I was like, yeah, I got another record on the radio. I'm popping right now.
Yeah. I'm sure the folks back home were proud of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's when, that's when things kind of turned around as far as
Prodigal son.
the whole prodigal son thing. And, because my parents was like, hey, ain't nothing in the music. He ain't gonna do nothing with that. But then when I started, to get my name on a few records and people was noticing stuff. So it's like, okay, all right, well, maybe he might be doing something.
He doesn't need to come back and at the car.
Yeah. It's like I don't have to come back home now.
Did you do Samantha Mamba's I Gotta Tell You?
No, I didn't do that. Somebody else asked me about that record. About that.
What about In Sync? My.
In Sync, I worked on with Leon Silvers, worked on Close Your Eyes, Realize, Never Let You Go.
Oh no, I didn't. Okay, I didn't know. Because I know that the Bye 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 was that big one that Teddy.
I'm thinking In Sync. No, not In Sync. That's New Kids on the Block. That's what I'm talking about. In Sync. I didn't work with In Sync. No, I didn't work with them.
Okay, but
I worked
New
with
Kids
on the Block.
Okay, when they came to record and stuff. So with Case, when you did, Another Minute stuff, did you then was this all remixes, or did you actually then go in and work on some of his stuff on an album?
Well, I was in New York at the time. That was a project where, because we had done the previous remix with Case, and I was living in New York, and my manager and JoJo Brand were still cool, and JoJo was kind of like taking over the Case project. Okay. And so it was like, hey man, I need somebody to come in and restructure a few records on this project, add some stuff that's needed, it's like, you know, Vabe tell me you can get it done. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all did the remix, so, you know what I'm saying? Then I had Sugar Dice was, you know, he always voiced his opinion about me being like the next Teddy Riley and all that craziness. But you know what I'm saying? So that project came on the table. They were initially working on Happily Ever After with Chris Henderson, and they were having the issue, and it's like, you know, can you come in the studio and help him get the vocal right? And we ended up doing that, you know what I'm saying? And so that turned into me fixing, you know, it's about 4 records on there. One Mucho did. I just added some stuff to that, and then I ended up doing a record on my own. And well, they took a record that another producer that started. He liked the record, but I took the record from that and just redid the record and resurfaced the record.
Okay.
And that's where Another Minute came from.
Okay. And then I guess the other question there, did you do anything with Big Bob's Timeless album?
Yes.
Was it Settle Down? Oh, no.
Not Settle Down. I can't think of the name. My own song name. No One. No One. That's my joke.
No One. Okay.
You know,
were you still in Virginia when the Bob album Timeless?
Yeah. Bob was coming here, so we did that here. And actually, No One was done before Settle Down. And I was like, I used to always tease Teddy. I was like, you just couldn't let No One be. You just had to do something like that and just try to make it bigger than, you know what I'm saying? Because they kind of sound similar.
Yeah. You know, that's probably one of my top 10 albums. That's Timeless. I am surprised it didn't get. I mean, true fans had the album.
They love it. I mean, like, you know, he still does stuff off of that today. I mean, a lot of fans love that album. You know.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best, but it didn't. Motown didn't push it. I didn't like the first single. I didn't. I think the first single didn't showcase the album because the first single is not like the album. And doing a Zoom remake wasn't necessary as well. They had is it My Love? Not My Love. My Way. I don't know why that didn't get released. That
My Way was another record that was hot, and then like
Settle Down,
and then Settle Down was Ted, and then like Settle Down was Ted, and it's like, you know, I always tease him because like, yo man, you did that record sound like my record, man.
But then,
you know what I'm saying, that was like just, you know, Bub was in and out, and he was working with us doing other stuff, so it's like, you know, we were working on his project, you know what I'm saying, and like they did that I Want Your Love record, and you know what I'm saying, and I just think that they probably did that because his relationship with Queen
Latifah,
and it was like, okay, well, we'll put this record out. This is an up-tempo record because of the album was like, you know, ballads, you know what I'm saying, pretty much.
But then it's almost as Joe got away with ballads. Brian McKnight got away with ballads, and that was the time when ballads were proper. You know, people were still buying ballads. I mean, I used to buy Joe's album every year, every time it came out. Brian McKnight, because you knew they were solid. So I don't know. I think I don't think I have an issue. I think Kadar didn't do well at Motown because an album like that should have blown up and stuff. It must be disappointing for you guys when the album just wasn't.
It doesn't do what you think it's gonna do. I mean, it's crazy because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, his album was like Big Bub Ballads, you know what I'm saying? But they didn't necessarily market it as that. You know what I'm saying? It's like they tried to do the traditional up tempo, mid tempo, ballad type of thing, and that didn't really work for that particular project.
No, you know, you just needed something that would just because he was. The question I have then, because you've worked with, you've known Aaron, Bob, and Diesel. Out of the three of them, who would you think and say vocally? Because you've seen them live, and you've recorded and stuff. Who would you think was vocally better?
Oh, hands down, Diesel.
Okay.
Hands down, man. Hands down. Diesel was beast, man. Hands down. And I mean, Aaron ain't gonna just tell you that, but he might say it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Bub's gonna get Diesel credit. I can tell you that. You know what I'm saying? But hands down, Diesel was, man. That dude was vocally a beast.
Yeah, and I mean, well, Were you guys still in touch before he passed?
We wasn't in touch as much before he passed. You know what I'm saying? I know he was in South Georgia, and like, you know, we were talking, passing every now and then. I mean, he used to actually be my roommate. So, for a little while, and so when he left Virginia, I think he went to like Georgia or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I spoke to Rab and they were doing the backing vocals with
Yeah, I mean, like
JT.
during that time when he first started to do the Justin Timberlake and the Keith Sweat and all that stuff, that we were still roommates then.
Okay.
You know, so I
Okay.
was just traveling to New York a lot, you know, because I was doing a lot of the stuff with Motown and, you know, saying, and Def Jam. So I was kind of like always kind of, you know, in and out, but, you know what I'm saying, we were like, that was my roommate at the time.
So I take it, you know, from Virginia to New York. When did you? Is it that you left? You got to a point where it's time to move on from Teddy's camp, or what happened, or when was it?
Pretty much like, you know, during that late 90s, you know, saying that late 90s, like, you know, things just started to kind of like go a little funny with, you know, management and stuff like that. I wanted a manager, you know, saying Ted was like, I don't, you know, saying I want that manager, but it was getting me work, and I was like, hey, you know, saying I don't care, you know, what you do with the other guys, and because the manager that I had, which was LeVay, but he was managing the whole production camp. So, you know what I'm saying, when Ted was like, I don't necessarily want him to manage everybody, I'm like, listen, he's doing a great job for me. I think I need him still as my manager. So it started to be a little conflict about things, and, you know, Ted started, it's like a little thing he started to do, like, hey, like, where are you at? And, you know, I'm like, I'm in New York. You're signing off on a project. You know, so, you know, it's like, you know where I am. So I guess he felt like I was pulling away from him, but nah, like I told him, it's like, you know, later, it's like, nah, I wasn't pulling away. It's like, but I'm out here. I want to make money just like you're making money. It's like, you know, I want to make myself known as a producer, and not necessarily want to have to pull away. I really want you to give me a production deal through Interscope. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying, he didn't necessarily do that with any of his producers. So
Yeah. What was the last thing that you worked on as before you sort of moved on?
What was the last project we worked on together? That's a good question. I had to look at some stuff to say and remember what the last one. But we worked on so much stuff as we were going out of the door. That's a good question.
Okay. Did you do another? Were you on another level?
Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So another level is Ted came up with this thing, another level. Everybody get one song on the project. And pretty much that's how they kind of carried it like that.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, so all of so he didn't have like the producers that were in the camp. So, like, you know, so like with the first album, like, you'll see my name on maybe like 8 songs.
Yeah.
Okay, on this next album, you'll see my name on a couple of songs, and then there's assisting or whatever. But, you know what I'm saying, like I tell people at the end of the day, it's like really like a lot of the vocal production is done by me, because when he can't get the guys to do whatever vocally he needs them to get, because especially with Chauncey, him and Chauncey, they used to battle all the time. He'll just go in like, you get it because I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Or you get it because he's aggravating me tonight. He ain't singing right. He go in there and get the vocal, or I'll go. So it was like, usually it was like on another level, it was usually like Chauncey and me and Eric worked together quite a bit. You know what I'm saying? But and then what Ted would do his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we would do stuff for him. Me and him would like produce like the vocal and come up with it, you know, said together. But I pretty much produced maybe half of the vocals, or, you know, saying maybe 40% of the vocals on the project. You know what I'm saying? But he only gave us one record. So you had like me, Bing, Will. So you had a bunch of different producers that were a part of the camp that was on the album, but like you didn't really see producers that had like 2 or 3 records on the project.
So which one did you do? Like the lyrics?
I Want to Be Man. That's what baby, the floaters floaters remake type vibe. Baby.
Oh yeah. I wanna
Yeah.
be yeah.
And
So
that, it's funny that was supposed to be a single, but shit. I think they put a monkey wrench in that because they wanted that to be a single, and I was getting myself excited about it being a single. Then the next thing I know is like, nah, we ain't gonna use that. We're gonna use the Joy, and because London was playing the record kind of, at the time.
no,
So
Joy was the first album. Oh, you
not
mean
Joy. What's the
Money Can Buy You Love?
Bobby Love. That's what
Buy Me
Bobby
Love.
Love. Bobby Love,
Okay.
right. So Bobby Love, they went to, we were touring, they went to London. They were in London already. They ended up doing a video.
Oh, they did a video in London. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But here in the States, they were preparing for I Want to Be Your Man to be the next single because they had already told me, like, your song gonna be the next single. I said, cool, because we had the success from the joint Big did. What's the other bit tempo on that album? No Diggity, Don't Leave.
Don't
So
Leave.
after Don't Leave, after Don't Leave,
they went to Fix.
Okay, I Want to Be Your Man. It's like, okay, we can put this record in as that fall time, ballady classic type joint. And so I was preparing myself, like, yeah, I'm about to have a next single on Blackstreet. And then the Monkey Rich guy, like, it was like, okay, it was like Bobby Love.
No, I thought they went from Don't Leave to Fix.
Fix was it didn't really do what they thought. They did a remix and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
The remix was with ODB.
Like,
it just did it. Yeah. It just alienated I mean, it wasn't. It didn't really do it.
It was like that rock.
With Fishbone. It just
It just took it so that, like, so it really never got. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people still like it in concert, but it never started to take it off. So it was like, so like Want to Be Your Man was like, hey, we're gonna drop this record. So they thought that would bring back, you know what I'm saying, that vibe that they created. So, and like I said, I was preparing myself for that, you know what I'm saying. But then they did Bobby Love, and then after that, it was like, that was okay. That's it for this album. Y'all start working on the next project.
Okay, yeah, and you're doing remixes. But then, what was the what was the so after the when the Blackstreet stuff was going on and they're touring, what were you guys? We just working on the remixes, or what was coming in?
Remixes, anything that came through the door that needed production on. I got the How Can I Get Over You remix was one of those projects that I got to work on. It was a remix for Terrell's How Can I Get Over You that Chad and them did. So they came back to us for the remix, and then L and I did that together.
Okay. Who?
L Cool J.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we did that record together, and then I think we ended up doing a remix to. I think we did a remix to Distant Lover. And I did that with Grand Poobah.
Oh, so were you still with Ted by this time?
Yeah, I was still under all this stuff. I still was under Ted. You know what I'm saying? I still was under Ted. I didn't leave Ted until I was kind of like going from Ted when we were doing the Case album stuff with, you know what I'm saying, Another Minute stuff. I was kind of like out of the door at that point.
Okay. And then, I mean, people would always, I've got Sheldon who was asking about what was your top 5, when you think of your top 5 productions that you would say. I know you've always mentioned SWV, but if you're thinking of my top 5 stuff,
my top 5 would be probably both of the SWVs, My Love, Terrell. Yeah, that'll probably be my top 5.
Both your SWV,
so Terrell Hicks, Distant Lover, the My Love remix and changes, and then the SWVs, I'm So Into You, and then there's the Eminem record that I did for Mary and Marsha. Yeah. Mary
Oh,
Marshall.
okay. I thought you said
Not
okay.
not Eminem, but Mary Marshall. Eminem.
Yeah, yeah,
They were
yeah,
the first Eminem, Mary Marshall. I did a
yeah,
record with
yeah,
Mary
yeah.
Marshall.
Did they come up
That
with an
they
album?
did they come up? Yes, that was actually on an album.
It was what?
It was on an album, that the Mary Marshall.
Yeah, because so they finished Abstract and they went straight to do the Eminem, but that didn't it did
I
I
don't know.
didn't.
I don't know what the label did. I mean, I know the record played. I know the record played hard overseas. Like that Eminem record played hard overseas because when I went to Australia, you know, saying they were like, you know, they were DJs for playing the record.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think okay. Just so I mean, before I think people are well. I mean, I'll get that to the end part, but you know, so you've moved on from Teddy, and you know, and I think I think listening to you, I can understand how you know the need to evolve and stuff and stuff. Then, but you decided to move to New York, and then, or were you still had a place in Virginia, and you thought,
Yeah,
well,
I
I'll
still
just
have my
be
place in Virginia. I never got rid of my place in Virginia. I just had a small apartment in Virginia. So I was staying in New York at my manager's brother house. You know what I'm saying? So we had like a little studio uptown on 126 or something like that.
okay,
And so we had like a little studio that we worked out of. Actually, it was where we did the Another Minute record at. And
okay,
so I was working out of there, and then later on, you know, we moved downtown to, you know, what I'm saying, towards the city, and then we were doing, you know, I was constantly going to Motown, and like I said, Dice had me in Motown, like I was the next Teddy Riley, and Andre had me working on this pet project of his, and he actually was gonna offer me something, but it didn't end up. That came all the way to play because that they got rid of him the next year or something like that. The next few
okay,
months they said, oh, you're spending too much money, but he had me working on this artist named LaShonda Larice, which was Andre just felt like, you know, saying she was a big artist, and he was like, hey, I need you to work on these records. I need to get these records to a certain level.
okay,
But you know,
okay.
so with him going out, her project went out, and
Uh, yeah,
so
I think Andre, he shouldn't have left Uptown. And I think what he was doing at Motown is that he was trying to emulate Puffy, because
yeah,
he was saying that yeah, I think in a way I felt he was trying to like, oh, Puffy was taking all the limelight, so he was trying to do that to Motown. But I think one, he shouldn't have gone to Motown, and two, he probably should have just focused on
on his
like
own
yeah, like
situation.
Horace
Yeah.
Brown and that type of getting those kind of acts and just doing it that way instead of trying to promote the label like
Yeah,
Bad Boy.
yeah.
Motown was
He
not.
was on a super label kick, and then like so we had what's the girls, the Shades during that time. So we got the Shades remix that I'm working on, and like I said, I'm working on other stuff that's on the Motown project and on the Motown label, and LaShonda LaRice, which is what um he wanted me to his pet project he kind of locked me into.
Okay. So, the Guy 3 album, were you on
Uh-huh.
that?
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, I came back in the door for a little while because they were touring. They were starting to tour. We were supposed to do the Guy 3 album, you know, saying before they released that, like before we did the another the Level album, we were in Trinidad with Guy.
Oh, so you were, because Mucci mentioned that Teddy was in Trinidad, so you were with them.
Yeah, yeah. So we went to initially we went to Trinidad with Guy. So and because they was trying to honor that, you know, so that Guy project, and we're gonna do the project. So we all go down to Trinidad, and we're down there probably about almost 2.5, 3 weeks, and then they had enough of each other.
Doing what? Having fun on the beach, or what were they doing?
No, we was working on stuff. I mean, like some of the stuff that's on, I think some of the stuff that's on the Guy 3 project, and some of the songs that were, you know, um, some of the demos that they had. You know what I'm saying? So they were just like coming up, trying to vibe and come up with stuff, and just, you
Didn't
know what I'm
work,
saying, for the project.
and it wasn't didn't work.
Nah, man. After about 2.5 weeks, like, you know, Ted had enough, And so he was like, "Man, I'm going back to Virginia." And so he left me that he left me down there to get all the stuff back together and pack all the equipment up, and you know what I'm saying, and get all the stuff back to Virginia.
And so were you still with Aaron and Damien, or they left as
Well,
well?
not Aaron was still there for like another few days, but Damien and I was already gone.
Okay. And so there was you didn't record anything with Aaron or anything?
No, I mean, like we recorded some stuff, but you know what I'm saying, like, you know, they were just like rough vocals, and it's like they needed stuff that needed to be done over. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, Aaron wasn't concentrating about, you know, being there working on the project for really, you know what I'm saying? And I still don't think that at that time they had really worked out all their kinks, so that's why it
Yeah.
didn't like, you know, get done. But it got done later, you know what I'm saying? But at that time it didn't.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard Damien talk about that, and when I speak to Damien in a couple of weeks, I'll go in detail about the whole guy stuff. But then, you know, after you sort of you sort of left with Teddy, did you come back with the Finally album? Did you do anything on Finally? I know Mucho did.
Nope. Like that Finally album, none of those albums I was on. You know what I'm saying? Like other people were on the project, but at that point I was really trying to get myself moving. I think when they were working on Finally, I was in London
Oh,
working with Brian Harvey.
okay. So I
So
mean, so since I guess since you left so Teddy now, because people ask, okay, what is life like as a producer now that you know, because the safety net of having Teddy and all that work back in those days, and now you're having to get the work yourself. What's the difference, and how have you been recently?
I mean, well, for a while I kind of like, you know, they were kind of moving, and then when the industry kind of transitioned from more like R&B
Hip hop.
to the rap side, I was like, man, that ain't really what I do. It's kind of like, you know, then the projects got harder, and you know what I'm saying, then the financial game kind of changed. So producers were sitting in, you know, you go to meetings and they're like, oh, okay, I want, you know, but they know you're, because at that time my you know, saying my fee was like 20,000, 25,000. So you know what I'm saying, I had the second case album I'm supposed to work on. So we working on stuff for that, and you go to the meetings and you go to things, and then like, you know, A&Rs didn't really know what they want. So it's like, you know, and trying to keep up the machine, it was a super lesson that I learned as
Wow.
a producer. It's like, you know, you can say, hey, I want to be out here on my own as a producer and I can make it happen, but it's like, you know, coming from under a situation like Ted, you know what I'm saying, people start to know you for these songs. It's like, okay, like they like, you know, really like the fire up on you. It's like, okay, I need this record. I need this record. I need this record. And I didn't really have um a writer that I was comfortable with at the time. And like my network of people that I had wasn't super huge. So things kind of fell back and I started doing more like engineering stuff.
Wow.
And and that was situations with Def Jam that kind of helped me say, all right, you know what, man, it's like I don't know if I want to, you know, produce right now. The game is crazy, and you know, saying people are fighting over like, you know, like you like basically over me as a commodity, but it's like nothing is transpiring from it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to Virginia and I will take a break. And I came back to Virginia and I was here for about 6 or 7 months or so. And I started this little group called this little R&B group called Trey Soul, which was three girls that I met that I was trying to put together. And
Okay.
then I was like, I really thought I was big wig, so I had a female rapper named Blaze, and and a like a I call them Coyote Ugly meets the Spice Girls girl group that I was trying to do all at the same time. And I really didn't have any help and no kind of guidance on really what I was doing. So I just kind of like went downhill from there for a little while. And after that, I was like, you know what, I just transitioned all the way into like mixing for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, and so because one of my guys, Omar, said, you know, I mean, do you feel so hip hop, did that take away from that R&B stuff? Because it seems as if what we were used to in the 90s and late 20 and 2000s just disappeared from the radio.
It did. I think it did. Like I tell people. Somebody asked a question the other day on this forum everybody's using right now about like how do you keep yourself fresh in a system like that? And it's like you really have to be a chameleon. You know what I'm saying? As far as learning how to mesh with what's going on now versus what people want from you or know from you. So it's like I've learned that now. It's like so now I'm more back, in the point where hey, let's get back in, let's do some production, let's get on some projects and do some musical stuff, versus just doing engineering, fortunate enough for me, I've been blessed that people still hear my name and say, okay, like that's Sprague Doogie. Like, yo, you got some music, man. You still working on music? So I still have that, that little air of, space that I can use to get in on projects and things like that. So I stepped out of just mixing, even though I do mix a lot of records now. But it's like, the juice is back to say, hey, let's get back and doing production and start back working with, with artists, because now the kind of R&B new vibe is kind of coming back around, and and the doors are opening back up. But the rap game definitely, took me for a loop because like you had all these rap producers and that's all they did. And like so, and like that's like that wasn't necessarily my faux pas. Like okay, I can sample a record, but it don't sound nothing like these guys that are Binks and the Nazis of the world and people like that, Lord Finesse. They were like, they were hip hop heads. So it's like, they had the SP12s. And I was like, okay, I ain't connected to no real R&B people. And my network wasn't big enough to keep me floating, where I wanted to be.
Yeah. It is quite interesting how, for a minute, Teddy just seemed like he was able to keep going from hip hop to R&B and back and forth to pop and stuff. But but even people like Babyface and Jam and Lewis, you don't hear that with those big records as they used to as well.
Right. I think like, see, for me, it's like, that was another person that was like an idol for me. So when I was working with Def Jam, I had an opportunity to between me and the Underdogs, even though he ended up using the Underdogs because they were all right out west. But Serbian Guinea, the engineer, was like, Babyface is looking for a younger producer to come in to help do things. And, I was telling them about you. And so Babyface and I had a couple conversations about, me coming to LA or going back to Atlanta, and working under him. So, but he ended up, using the Underdogs because they already had stuff out that was out and he was used to working with them already. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I guess people will always ask, it's been a while since you separated from Teddy. Are you guys cool today?
Yeah, man, we're cool. We're definitely cool. Like, usually when he comes to VA, it's like, we usually link up or whatever. And he's been trying to get me to come to Vegas, but that ain't necessarily what I'll try to do right now. But he always like, yo, man, let you come to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So I know Blackstreet are working on a new album. Did you get involved in that?
Oh yes, I'm definitely on that. My nephew J Hot, you know what I'm saying? It's like, like he and I kind of like the cats that's kind of like working on the project.
Okay.
He's doing the majority of the heavy lifting, and I'm coming in and trying to make sure that it still has that Blackstreet era of what needs to be there for the fans that's already out there.
So, most of my viewers would know J Hawk because I've produced his interviews, has come out and stuff. But when I think about the fact that you're saying that he's doing the majority of stuff, I go back to when you started off and you were the new guy and Teddy was like listening to your demo and bringing you on board. And it's almost like he's the young kid who's got all the energy just like you do.
Yeah, look, I tell people, I say he's the S Doogie 2.0. You know what I'm saying? Arkeel gave me the S Doogie name, Doctor, because he used to call me the young doctor of music. So when I came to Virginia, I was like the fresh face that had a lot of energy and was trying to get on in everything. And my thing was like, hey, competition is competition. I'm trying to burn everybody up. You know what I'm saying? So Jay has, because he kind of came up under us and our, influence. He's got his own thing. He's actually had the chance to work with all of us, Ted and his uncle, myself, and other people. So he's got the structure of what it takes to get it done, and he's got that energy where he's constantly making music. I'm a little different. I like to cater to people. Like I like to get in and sit in with you. Like, hey, let's come up with something that fits you. You know what I'm saying? Then let's make something from that. I'm more of that vibe.
Yeah. So I mean, so from you, 2021, what should we expect to hear from you?
Well, I'm in the process of putting together my own place right now. So and so we got a few things that we're gonna be working on. So you're definitely gonna be hearing something from me, saying in 2021 and after.
Yeah.
Saying now I'm, back rejuvenated into getting production done and mixing and stuff like that. So you'll see my name on a few things. One of the little groups that we worked with before, Aura, the Asian group, they're trying to put something together. So we've been talking about doing some stuff together. And of course, my brother Case he's always on my shoulder somewhere, like, yo, we need to get together. We need to link up and do some work together. So there's a few projects out there that we're trying to work on. Of course, and then I have Lord Finesse, I don't know if you know the Lord Finesse Motown joint he just released. I mixed probably about half of those records on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, someone like Case, is he still with Def Jam, Def Soul?
No, he's independent. He's doing an independent thing.
Okay.
He still has other people that's that was with them during that time that the JoJo Brims is still involved in his stuff. So
okay.
You know what I'm saying? But he's working on, he's always working on, that's a good thing about him. He's always working on a project to release. You know what I'm saying? He's like Keith Sweat, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm gonna put something out, you know what I'm saying? But so he's working on a project, you know what I'm saying? Jay High's trying to get me to do some stuff with Keith, and you know what I'm saying? So it's a few things out there that, that is gonna be started resurfacing, and a lot of labels still have those A&R people or friends that's sitting in positions like Mark Pitts just got, saying A&R over at RCA. So between him and Tina Davis and the Kevin Lyles and saying people like that, I'm gonna be tapping on some of those doors, saying like, hey, I'm coming to see you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm coming to see you. And I just have grown. I've just grown as a producer. I've grown, learning how to, make things faster, how to make things more efficient, to get stuff done, and to blend in with what's going on.
But have you then thought about? I mean, the unfortunate thing is that we don't have back in the days. You had the labels who go to BET, go to the radio stations, and push out tracks, and we all used to vibe to them. Then hip hop came, and all the TV networks sort of changed, and everything's online, and it's quick, fast, and the next one, especially hip hop. There's hardly any money in producing a hip hop track because anyone can get a beat off the internet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so
I still like to work. I still like to work with people. I mean, I still like to come up with, I'm actually into the old school, the urban, not the urban, but the pop side of how they produce. It's like, hey, let's sit down, let's come up with a project and actually market it. I really still like, that vibe, where, hey, you sit down with somebody and you come up with, EP, say somebody like Case, he might be releasing a project, but I might say, hey, let's you and I put the EP together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, it's 4 or 5 records. And let's, come up with something. We'll put an EP together, you know what I'm saying? And then produced by you and me and maybe somebody else, but let's put a project together like that and just reaching out to some people that, that need production. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually trying to come back to London. I'm trying to do it all.
Yeah. But then how come, I mean, you've got, it's quite easy to get music out there. If it sounds good, it will grow. But have you this the idea of having your own, producing your own little groups and then and letting and marketing it out that way?
Definitely. Right now, I was like, right now, I don't have any one specific that as a singer that I like. I have one young lady that she's a producer, but she's a part of like my little production team.
Okay.
And Delise Rose, she's like a part of my little production team that I'm working on. And there's a couple other guys that'll be a part of my production team. So like I said, I learned so the things that I need to do. So
yeah,
it's like I'm trying to like find little people that I can handpick to get stuff done so that we can finish projects on time, get multiple records, and be able to turn in stuff that people need. And so it's little stuff like that. And eventually, yeah, I do want to find like a dope singer or a dope, saying, and release it, on my own. Saying do the whole DJ Mustard thing with Elevate.
Yeah.
Do something like that where, hey, you're a producer, people know you, and you release your artists to the world, and they, saying they, and because I really want to like have it where, hey, my artist might have been my writer, saying.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of used to their songs, like what we already know that they're a great writer, saying. So I'm looking for someone like that can, say, hey, we do production together. Yeah. But then you're as an artist, saying you're an artist, saying the Carrie Hilsons of the world. I'm looking for someone on that level. And it doesn't have to be a young lady, it could be a young man, or it could be a group. But saying it's like, that'll be something that I will be keeping my eye out for.
Yeah, goodness, but you have to let us know so we can get it out there. I mean, final question, I guess is to somebody asked, what was your opinion on the Babyface Teddy Riley versus? Did you watch it?
Oh yeah, I definitely watched it.
Yeah, what was your thoughts about it?
As far as, I mean, it's like, I mean, for me it was great because I like those are both my the people that I look to as saying like my main two, and like then Jimmy Jam and Turtles would be like that last that last round saying what my production would be. But I think it was saying it was cool. I think some of the records that he played, that Ted played, saying he could have played some different records that would have gave him a more saying comparable to Babyface just kind of stuck to the hits, saying.
Yeah.
And Teddy kind of played some records that were like records that were good feel records. I mean, but I think both of them kind of, they got their own vibe. Now when it comes to the winner, I'm still gonna give it to Ted because of like the variety, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, you got a variety of club hip hop records to ballads, you know what I'm saying? So you got that whole variety, whereas in Babyface is more or less kind of like, that middle of the road good record. And it's a hit record, but it's like it's gonna be a mid-tempo ballad. There's not really too many up-tempos in there. Ain't too many just club records.
Yeah.
But then they give you the whole variety of like, hey, from saying just straight ballad, saying baby making music to deep hardcore rap, club, all of that. So
I think Teddy could have won the battle with it before it started if he had
other records.
If he had I think the way you win a battle is you start playing your big hits from the beginning. So by the time you start with your No Diggity, you start with your Remember the Time, you start with Prerogative, you start with by the time you stop doing Just Got Paid, Kissing Game, One Is Make You Sweat. By the time by the time you've started to groove me. By the time you've already
the second side records,
by the time you do, because he could have just hit 10 number one tracks just like that. I mean, he never even played Prerogative. Anything Face would have done with Bobby Brown, Prerogative was Bobby's biggest track, so he would have just knocked that off the track.
Yeah.
He could have, but so I was disappointed with his selection.
I was disappointed that people were calling me like, saying, why you ain't there to help your man's out? And I was like, hey.
No, he did struggle because actually L.A. Reid wrote the stuff with Babyface. So Babyface said LA and I came up. So they already so he didn't have someone in his camp to say he shouldn't. You don't play it on the night. You already have your top 20 list and you have your 5 just in case.
Yeah,
He didn't have that. He was just like, oh, let me play this. He didn't have it like just play this 10.
Nah, he didn't. He didn't have somebody that sat down like, yo, you got to play this record. You got to play this record to smash. You got to play these records to smash.
Yeah,
and I think that was part of the situation. Then the whole debacle with the internet and what he was trying to do was just.
Oh yeah, that was the first one. I'm talking about the second one when they really
when they really sat down.
Yeah.
Then it became where said he was. I think he still was frazzled from the first situation because like everybody was kind of going in from that scenario. So I don't think he really took his time to sit down and say, okay, let me plan this thing out.
Yeah. And then when Face brought out his guitar, then he like, oh, I need to get my keyboards.
Oh yeah, he was ready. He was ready to get the talk about then. He was like, yo, I need to get my.
But it was
It's like, wait a minute. So I mean that's that thing is like that's typical Ted. Like Ted will go all the way. He'll go all the way left with something, even if he ain't 100% sure that it's like right. It's gonna work. He'll try it. For the sake that he feels like if I pull it off, I'm gonna be incredible. So he's always been like that. He'll try some stuff. To see if he can pull it off.
You mentioned that you were on keys. How was he on a piano? How good was he?
Oh, Ted's good, man. Ted's, he's like not like the prolific keyboard player that like a lot of these musicians are, but they're just musicians. They're not really good producers. So it's like it's definitely a difference in. I'll tell people this: it's definitely a difference in somebody that's producing than someone that's a musician. Like a lot of musicians normally put too much music in a record. Whereas in a producer, he's fluent enough to get the record done, but he's more into, making the record feel good and groove good.
Yeah.
And adding the one or two things that, hey, whereas in, because you're trying to figure it out, like, this feel good with the record. Whereas the musicians go, oh, I can put a horn there, they can do all this fabulous stuff. And I can put an organ there, I can make it do all this fabulous stuff. Where, So I think producers are, like that's got the talent. Like I tell people, I'm not superly fluent on the keyboard, but it's like I play enough, to get records done like I need. Like, and I'll sit down with a record and figure it out. And I'm usually going off of something that I'm hearing in my head.
Yeah.
That I try to make. Or something that I don't hummed or. And I'll try to put stuff down that way. But yeah, Ted's really decent on the keyboards.
So you've worked with him. I guess the final thing is that when you look back at his career from his Kumo D, Heavy D, Blackstreet, Michael Nothing, if you were to pick his top 3 records that you think when you think of Ted and you think, yeah, these are the top 3, either before me or after me or when I was there, that these are the top 3 that I think Ted would.
My records would probably be Dog Me Out would be one of them.
What? Wow.
Just because of the groove, of the record. You know what I'm saying? The groove and the sound, the sonics of the record just had that just make you dance. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The remix.
Remix. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? When they got the remix show. That one. What else? Goodbye Love. That's just a nostalgic thing for me.
Okay. From the first Guy album.
Yeah, from the first Guy album. And there's just a couple of other records like on the second album that were just like, that just, to me, that second Guy album, like what they did sonically with, Dave and them did sonically, still hasn't been matched as far as the futuristic from the first album to the transition of that album and what they did sonically with that album.
Okay.
So like Smile or something like that would be. But as far as like him, Remember the Times and probably Dog Me Out, the remix, and like Groove Me would be my top records for him.
Okay.
You know?
Do you still people like John Marie and Dave Wade? Do you still keep in touch with them?
Yeah,
Or?
man, those are my brothers, man. I talked to them. Dave, John Marie, Servant Jr. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I talk to those guys all the time.
Dave
We
Wade. Yeah,
constantly.
okay.
Yeah, those are all my brothers. You know what I'm saying? They're actually the ones that influencing me to get saying stop sitting on the sofa and being a bum just mixing and like get back to doing production.
Yeah.
And like get back at it. It's like, what I'm saying, like, they're like, hey man, the industry really miss you. You need to be out here. You know what I'm saying? You should be out here already, but you know what I'm saying, it's never too late to put the saddle back on and get out here and just, you know what I'm saying, because it's like it's something that you started that didn't get finished. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Brian Cox is my other dude. He, you know what I'm saying, he always gets on me like, yo, man, you like, you one of my dudes. So yeah, you need to be back producing. So
Yeah. Is it hard to get back into it? Because I don't know what it's like being a producer. I mean, coming up with sounds and being creative. Do you need a writer to help you? Or
yeah, I mean that's my main. That's like my main thing. So like right now, I'm searching for some writers and things like that. I got couple people that I'm using, but it's like trying to saying like for a producer, that writer is that catalyst. So like imagine LA and Babyface and no Babyface.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis without the people that they're using to write. It's like those songs like take a whole nother world with with the writing. You know what I'm saying? Most songs are melodies, and it's they might be great melodies, but if you don't got the right song over them, the right melody over them, or the right combination of the two people that are working together,
Yeah.
then it doesn't quite transpire into what you want.
Yeah.
I like saying for me, my person was Sherry Blair. Like so when we would work together, it's like I could start something and just have the beat and just I'll be humming something and she'll be in the room with me or she'll come in while I'm humming something and she'll be like, oh, like Doogie, what's that? I like that. Then she'll take it and she'll like, just let me get that little piece. And I'm still building on the record, but then she'll go in the room and like maybe an hour later she'll come back with something that might take me somewhere else with the record where, you know what I'm saying? But we just worked that way together. And actually Ted and I worked that way together. Like we went to a point where, you know what I'm saying, we were working on something. We didn't have to really talk. It's like, hey, we might be playing some chords. He'll be like, and we just make certain things that just like, hey, that feel good. Yeah. Let's go that direction. Or he'll be like, yo, what you take? Let's go this direction. Yeah. With it because we're building. Because we're both similar in the way we play chord structure. So it was a lot. When you're working with that right writer, that right production cat, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to do a lot. You know what I'm saying? Jay Hyden, I like that because he came up in the system. So the record that we got on the Blackstreet record right now is like he's like, well, so I want you to sit down and do the pad. You sit down with the pad. Let's come up with the pad, and you lay that old traditional Blackstreet pad down, and I'm gonna add this to it, and then we just it was like just instant. It's like we didn't have to. I get up, he'll get down, he'll do something, then he'll like, all right, so it's on you now. And I'll go add, saying some stuff. So, it was like the records just came together, saying real simple.
Well, I mean, so I would be thinking, you've got your friends back in Black, Basic Black, Spec, and them trying to come up with stuff, and you've got Mucho trying to come up with his own blackmail group. And I'm like, how come you don't connect with your old, at least just to get back into the production?
Like, it's almost like the little brother, big brother syndrome to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you the little brother, like we got this. Sometimes they have that, that mentality. But you know what I'm saying? Like, now that, so living now is like it's like they're working on something. It's like I hadn't been producing, with Mucho's situation is like, I want to probably be on that too. with the blackmail thing. Spectrum had already kind of like done their thing. And the other thing is they're working on just more or less proving themselves too as the producers, from Blackstreet Black, not just, hey, the album got done and they, so they kind of like spreading their wings, and you give people that space.
Yeah.
To do that. They're like, yo, bro, I need some songs for you from the project. Then, so of course I'm sitting down to, do that. It's just like the Blackstreet thing. It's like, oh, J.I. called me. He's like, they want me, they want me to do the new Blackstreet project. I don't want to do it without you at all. Like, if you ain't gonna be involved with it, I don't want to do it. So, and then Chauncey calls me and was like, hey, bro, I need you on this project because out of everybody, how it was, what's supposed to get done. Yeah. I need you on the project, so so they called me in to do that. So it's like, so in those scenarios, I said, okay, let me just blow the dust off this, all this stuff, and let me get back into it. Cause a lot of stuff I've been doing is like more like engineering and mixing, which is, I like that too. So yeah. But now it's like, getting my own little area where I can, do my thing.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be more development with some people that I feel like are dope. Like I said, I got the young lady that is a part of my team that I think is dope. She's more like a her or, SZA type artist, but she could be, she could be dope because she produces too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting. Somebody's asked, will you ever do what, RZA and everyone else is doing, selling your publishing to, everyone's been selling their publishing to these big companies and stuff?
Nah, I mean, if something happened where I stopped producing and never did any more records or something like that, and I needed some bread, maybe, possibly, but that's not, really what my thing is. It's like, saying the catalog is important. I think, maybe administration, somebody could do administration on my catalog, but ever since I came to London, I met Mark Morrison, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not selling my catalog. He's like, I make $1 million plus dollars a year off this one record. And
yeah,
I'm like,
and he just that's Return of the Mac, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, listen, I just need to make one of those, and I ain't worried about selling no publishing.
Yeah. I mean, it's on adverts, it's everywhere.
I'm good. Because it's always on something. Even I mean, I think I heard it on the Burger King commercials the other day.
Yeah.
So
Return of the Mac. Yeah.
It's always on something. So they're already using it. It's always in the party mix CD that's coming out every year.
Yeah.
And so it's always a record that's playing. So I'm like, yo, let me make some of them kind of records. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been blessed to kind of go around and do a lot of records with a lot of greats, from Patty to Cheryl Lynn's, even the Rolling Stones, which is
The Love Is Strong.
Which is like, hey, that's something that we tried that was different. But I think we pulled it off with what we had to work with, and the record for some.
Did Mick give his vocals on Love Is Strong, or did you just have to use?
No, man, Ted and I took that record and we chopped it we put out the Ginsu on that record, and it's like funny because we had to rent this machine to put it on a beat, because traditional rock, they just get in the studio and they just kind of like play the record. So that was one of those records. It wasn't like to a definite tempo. The tempo changed the whole record. So that's pre-Pro Tools. We gotta rent this machine to sit down and make sure that that the song stays on the click track, throughout the whole remix that we're doing. And there's a couple of places where it falls off, but for the most, we had the record kind of locked in, and then we just kind of like started playing around with, should we go rock or should we just go flipping? Well, the Rolling Stones, we can't just go all the way from the rock edge. So we kind of like kept it there. And being that I'm an Asian baby, it's like, I listened to all of that stuff back in the day. So I kind of brought some of that element to the remix that we were working on.
Were you surprised that you guys even got called by Virgin to come do the remix on Love Is Strong? That was their first track.
Totally. I mean, totally. Yeah, totally. That was He was like, yo, they want to do a Rolling Stones remix. I'm like, a Rolling Stones remix. I said, hey, we can try it. Hey, I'm game. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, that like.
Did you ever what did they say? Did Mick Jagger, did they ever say anything about the version? Did they even know about it, or did they?
I mean, I haven't heard anything. I'm pretty sure Ted's probably heard something from, from that, but I haven't heard anything, saying from it. Because I thought like at that time I wasn't around, say I wasn't around Ted, but I'm sure he's probably heard some.
No, but this was still back in this was
Like
still back.
97, 6.
No, I don't. I think you was no. This was you was still. I think you might have still. Um, I think you would have still. You still would have been with them.
No, I'm still with Ted. I was definitely still with Ted there. So like, yeah, so like 90, yeah. Yeah, like 97,
94.
96.
It was 94.
94.
That was early. Yeah.
Oh, that far back? Woo. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that was early. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
early,
Like, it was still
yeah.
early.
So yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were like, what I'm saying, like he and I were like, like when they came, because like during 94, like say 94, 95, it was like heavy, saying like because Ty wasn't there at that point. Ty was gone, so
okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's like the another level album. So Ty's gone at that point, and Mucho is kind of in Atlanta a lot. So it's like, he's like, oh, we got to do this remix. It's like, all right, let's do it.
Okay,
so
you were doing the majority of the stuff by
yeah, it was like that, like a lot of the heavier weight of stuff was on me.
Yeah.
During those years, but man, I mean, like I say, it like we had, we just, got in and just, put our heads in and just did what we did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I tell people, I was like, I don't work with everybody. It's like people like, who? I said, I don't work with everybody. People you probably would never think that you would work with, like, Rolling Stone, Patti LaBelle, Cheryl. They're like, Cheryl Lynn.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, like,
yeah, Sherilyn, you guys did a number of tracks with her, almost like half the
yep.
album.
Yep. So that was another situation where, like, and that was an encore remix thing, because they used the sample for encore. So instead of her I ain't gonna sue you, we ain't gonna go through none of that. You pay me no sample, just do some records for me, and I'm gonna pay you to do the records, but I just want I want you to do some records for me. And she came down, and I think we kept her here for about like 4 months, and
wow,
saying doing all kinds of crazy stuff besides writing songs, but she was here hanging out with us, and we were working on records.
Wow. And I did like the Patti LaBelle, This World, and the way we remakes it, all This Love.
And like that was just me being really being in the intervene, like that was vocal production that helped do some of the programming, but being an intervene with two geniuses, two legends in the room, and they get into it. And saying, and Patty's like, well, I'm Patti LaBelle, and Teddy Riley, I'm Teddy Riley. So they were bumping heads, and it was like, he couldn't get her to sing this one part. And he was like, man, I'm tired, man. He don't want to sing these old parts. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? So he kind of like just walked out of the session, you know what I'm saying? And just left me in there, and but I got it done. So. I tell people at the end of the day, it's like, people say you have a lot of patience when it comes to working with singers. I like, because I used to sing myself, so I understand like that element of like, it's like you're trying to get something and trying to get them to connect to what you're trying to do. It's like when singers sing a certain way, they're like, man, I can't do that. They have, and they mind made up that they can't do something sometimes.
But someone like Patti LaBelle, I mean, I would have thought with vocally she could pretty much do anything.
She can, but it's not, saying she can, but it's like her thing is this Patti LaBelle, I was saying that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like how she carried it at the time. Like,
which track was that? Was it This World Is Mine or All This Love?
All This Love, All This Love. You know what I'm saying? This World Is All was a lot, you know what I'm saying, was a lot more easy to work on, but All This Love, man, they just they hit a straight brick wall together, and it's like,
I mean, so the final product, was that how it was? That a compromise?
The final product is the combination of you know, saying like what we tried to get her to do and what she wanted to do. So because that's pretty much the approach that I took. It's like, she wasn't adamant about not singing this part the way Teddy wanted her to sing it. So I was like, basically, like, Auntie, I need you to sing it the way you want to sing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you sing it the way you want to sing it, and then you give me what we try to do. That's cool? She's like, well, okay, baby, we can do that. We can do that. So, you know what I'm saying? So I just tried to vocally, I just tried to make sure that was some of the stuff that she did, I tried to tie it into what we were trying to get. So, you know what I'm saying? And Ted came back in the room later on. He was like, man, she could have did that while I was in here. You know what I'm saying? But they were just battling, man. They were battling too hard at that time.
But at the end of those type of things, does everyone make peace and like, or do they?
Oh yeah, everything was cool. I mean, they had like they made peace later, but they still was kind of mad at each other. You know what I'm saying? She tried to set some food down for us to eat, and Ted was like, I don't want that in here and all this kind of craziness. You know what I'm saying? Even though I wasn't mad because you know what I'm saying, like the other producers and the engineers, like, I was like, shoot, that's Auntie Patty cooking. We gonna eat it. Don't worry. You ain't gotta eat it. We gonna eat it.
But how hard is it? Because because I guess that's not what we see a lot. Because Ted has always talked about how he used to fight with Bobby. So
man, like Ted's fight with Bobby, Bub, Chauncey. No, Chauncey's always. Oh, that was always a fight. So most times Chauncey doing vocals, it's usually gonna be me and him. You know what I'm saying? Because him and Ted just get into it. Oh, they just get into it, super get into it. So about like, yo, you ain't singing this right. Yo, that's flat. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Then Chauncey get like, man. And they just start like, then Ted gotta leave. Like, yo, I'm gone, man. Y'all do the vocal. So like most of the stuff, with me and Chauncey usually was me working with him and like on stuff that Eric sung on. And then on the first album was just like more or less me and Chauncey Levi. You know what I'm saying? Ted liked to work with Dave Hollis all the time.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? Because Dave was easy, man. Dave was, you give him something, he get it done quick. You know what I'm saying? Whereas some of the other guys, you got to work with them and try to get them to feel it right, and you got to explain it to them. So Ted ain't really good in that scenario.
So that's what what the vocal production is when the song is already done. It's just how they then
how they perform on the record, like what I'm saying. So when you're trying to get somebody to perform a record, it's like you got to feel it. The record got to be felt. You know what I'm saying? So you just don't sing. It's got to be emotions attached to what you're trying to sing. So it feels convincing. It sounds convincing. And sometimes when you're working with new guys, it's just like, you'll be there for a while. You got to have a little patience when it comes to that.
But yeah, so that I guess for Teddy, it's like there's it could be, he could, and I guess sometimes you might not always get the producer doing the vocal side because it's like I don't know, unless it's Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston, you don't necessarily need to always get the producer in there.
Right. Well, see, with Mike, man, when Mike gets like, Mike was always kind of like, he would just kind of like get the basis of what you wanted, and then he'll go and take it, and then he'll do his thing, and then they'll come back, and then y'all would tighten up the little one or two things that had to be tightened up. So you didn't necessarily have to produce Mike. You know what I'm saying? It's like you put Mike in the room and let him do his thing. You just make sure that you're recording it, so you got it, and then you might say, "Hey, Mike, let's fix this section, or let's do this, or and then he'll do the little tweaks, and then the record gets done." But you know what I'm saying, for the most, he wasn't like, but from me working with him, he wasn't one of those people that you got to sit down and battle to get the vocal out of. Some people got to be produced. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to be produced. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to let you get the record. Let me get the record. Let me sit with it and let me do my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, it's just about, making sure that it fits what's there and it feels good.
Who would you then say finally your favorite artist that you sort of produced vocally then in in that scenario where you felt like, I just enjoy when I'm recording them or producing them in the studio?
Babyface is one.
Did you do any work with him?
I'm not Babyface. I'm saying Babyface. Eric Benet. Eric Benet is one. Eric Benet is one on this True to Myself remix. He just impressed me the fact that he could do vocals without background vocals without even hearing the previous tracks, like the doubles. He didn't have to listen to the doubles. He didn't want to listen to the doubles, and he would be like so spot on. It was like, yo, you think that he had it in his other ear.
Wow.
And he was like, no, I don't want to hear that. Just cut it down. I got it. And it's like, when you play it back, it sounds perfect. And I was like, how do he do that?
Wow.
And he's one. Coco is another one that, I enjoyed like working with her just because of her range, and she's going to give you her feeling when she's working on the record, you getting something. Who else? Dave Hollister. That's my dude. Joe Stonestreet before he left, and then Diesel. Diesel is like that dude right there.
Wow.
That dude was special.
Yeah. No, those are amazing. Yeah, Stonestreet. I mean, he was he could have been anything. I mean, when you think about vocally, he had he actually did remind me of Diesel when I first heard him on Baby Be Mine. I thought, wow, this was going to be, and then I was surprised when he disappeared.
Yeah, but that dude was special. Like he was like really one take with it, Jack. He'll come in and like I need this record. You heard it a little bit, and he was on it, but ain't too many takes got done.
Wow.
Matter of fact, the record that Dave re-sung over, "Wanna Make Love."
Wanna Make Love. Yeah.
The other version with Stonestreet on it.
Oh.
And that's one take.
Wow.
That's it. We went into, came out of the room, and he came in the room. He's like, "Okay, Ted, I'm ready." And he turned on the record, let it play, and that's how it came out. And we didn't record it anymore after that, besides letting Dave do it over.
Oh, because when things went, because John Marius told me that Teddy doesn't like drugs or any of that stuff. So when stuff was happening,
when he started to get into the drug thing, that just killed it. But vocally, that dude, like, once he was locked into a record, it's like, he was in it, and he was giving you everything in it that you wanted. He was like another one of those special people that, that vocally, you wish that could have, like, really transitioned to that star, because he would have been that.
Yeah. Wow. I always ask my guests, if you were stuck in an elevator and they said it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes to get, it'll take about an hour or two, and they said, what movie do you want to watch while we're getting you out? What would you request to watch?
Oh, I'm a clown, so I'll probably say either Harlem Nights.
Okay.
Or Friday.
Okay.
One of those two. Either one I'm good with. Like,
Okay.
I'm a clown. I'm a comedian, so I like comedies and stuff like that. So
okay.
Either one of those movies, I'm rocking.
Okay, and then they also say, okay, we're about to put on the movie, but let's play a song for you just while we get the movie ready. What song would you request?
That's hard. I like so much music, and different kind of music. Maybe Donny Hathaway, Closer I Get to You. That's like one of my favorite records.
Okay. And the reason I asked the question is, like, if I said, what's your favorite record, it's almost like painting the scenario so that you can always name your favorite track in a way like that. And okay, Donny Hathaway. Yeah. No, it's been really great, taking the time to speak to you. Normally when I do an interview like this, that it's like 3 hours, what we've just done, I chop it up and like a producer and put out little sections and stuff. I know a lot of fans are going to be really interested in a lot of the things that you've said in different ways. And so but it's been really fascinating, because what you're showing us is your journey into stuff. But the hope then is that as music, the landscape has changed, that you are able to still change with it, because I know that people aren't doing albums anymore, but they are doing EPs, and but good music is always good music. If you have a good
Yeah,
track,
definitely. I mean, and I miss that. I miss like you miss the good music. I mean, you miss the baby making music. The kids today don't really listen to that. They just everything is like twerk and have drugs and
yeah.
ball out, and you need some good baby making love you songs, love you downs, and you need some good smiles, and what I'm
But when
saying.
you guys aren't making them, where are they going to listen to them?
Well, and that's where like now my mentality now is like because of the way the industry has changed, saying you can do that now and just put the music out. It's like, you can really make, saying you can do Another Smile or something like that,
yeah,
or a good ballad that, saying, because it's funny, those records usually tend to pop out of nowhere and be like, okay, like they're playing this record, it's like almost at the top of the charts, but like who is the person and where the record come from? But labels don't really necessarily put that out because that's not the trending thing that, saying, they're not going to put no focus into it. So now I feel like we have a unique position as producers that we can take an artist like a SZA or her or somebody of that nature, like, an artist that will give you some good content records that you can rock and be moody with. And I think the people will lock into the records.
yeah. I mean, as I said, I've got a channel with a lot of people who are onto the good kind of vibe, and anytime I do a survey about who's your favorite R&B writer or stuff, despite everything, R. Kelly still comes up because he was very consistent with his type of music. If he was still making music today, he wouldn't be doing anything other than what he's been doing, the same kind of lyrics and stuff. Consistency. Jam and Lewis and Babyface came out with a track the same as they always do. Consistency.
R. Kelly is like that. R. Kelly is like my mentality. Like I look at his structures of stuff, what I'm saying? And I think about that now as a producer. Like, as a producer, you got to be able to be a chameleon. So you got to be able to say, okay, it's 2020 now, 2021. And, what I'm saying, we ain't singing the traditional R. Kelly record. So he'll go find some record that got a bounce or got a vibe of, say, a 2020 record, what I'm saying? Then he'll do R. Kelly over the top of that, what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it works.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to be that. I feel like as a producer, you got to know how to mesh with the generation. So it's like they're listening to trap music. So, my records might not be traditional New Jack Swing because I need to have a faster hi-hat, but then I'm going to still incorporate my heavy drum and heavy snare and some of the swing in the record so that it still got a swing to it. Like, I think VJ asked me once, like, what I think was like a new age New Jack Swing record. And I told him that that record that DJ not DJ Khaled, but Khaled did that had what's the name of that? What's the name of that song? His name is Khaled. You know the artist Khaled. You know that he's some years out. I'm finna tell you what the name of it is. I had to look up stuff, what I'm saying? Now I want to get
yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
What's the name of this song? Because I think it's on. I don't know if it's on. It's not Better. What's the name of that song? This is the artist right here, Khaled. What's the name of his song? He's an artist that's kind of like right now. That's that I would consider like a new age kind of new age R&B swingy type artist.
Oh, what song
what's
is
the name of this song? Huh? It was a hit song too. I'm trying to think what the name of it is right now. I don't even see it up here. I'm trying to find it on I'm trying to find it on his Talk. That's the name of it. Can we just talk? Can we just talk? Let me talk about you. So that reminds me of like early guy. You know what I'm saying? It ain't hard as hard, but the swing is there.
Ah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I do wonder when you do have. I'm just listening to it now. But the thing, I've listened to it, and it sounds like it could be Weekend or Future. That's that auto tune stuff, and I think that's what's killing the song. That's why we don't like it, because it sounds so different from Future or
just
Weekend.
Think about that as Teddy Riley and Guy with "Piece of My Love" and the talk boxes. That's still the same thing.
No, but yeah, but it was. I know that when you think about Trapman, Roddy Trapman stuff, but I think a lot of us don't like, because hip hop rappers are doing the auto tunes and stuff, and so there's rapping, singing kind of stuff that Kanye did as a stuff, and they're doing it, and it's like, well, and sort of taking the R&B lane, and sort of no one's coming up with that type of lane stuff,
right?
Because they're almost thinking that we need to sound like Future and all these guys.
Well, then you have to blame somebody like a Teddy Riley for that, because I mean, when we started doing, you know, saying the vocalist stuff all on the record, people took that, you know, saying T-Pain took the record, those same vibes, and put it into, you know, saying, then you had cats like Future say, okay, I want to sing, but I'm not a singer, so you can just get in there and just sing on the top of this thing, and it sounds the thing. But that's not how we make the record. Like, I like this record because the record has singing on it. It's like the hook has like the little talk boxy thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still in a key. It's not like the key is not just rambling, like, you know, when they're talking and just like the auto-tune moves on its own. It's not that. It's like, you know, the auto-tune that they're using here is like, it's a melody. Can we just talk? Let me talk all about you. So it's like a melody there, and then he's singing the song over the top of it, like, you know, like we would do like back in the 90s, you know, saying with that, or, you know, or even like, you know, Bruno Mars, you know, saying Bruno Mars takes that, you know, that 90s sound and say, okay, I got to be a little bit more pop with it and put it on top of, you know, saying these pop rhythms, and just make it still sound like a 90s record, but it's got to sound like a little 2000 record at the same time.
Yeah.
So I just think that you have to be able to do that, because you got to be able to connect to the kids now. It's like, if you don't, you know what I'm saying, it's like, okay, I like the record. Like, people in the 90s going to love the record, but none of the kids now, like, okay, what's that about? You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't, you know what I'm saying, it don't really connect. But like, this is one of the records that I know here in the States they were playing like super heavy, you know what I'm saying? And it just has a little bit of that. It's, for me, it's got the swing, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I could take that record and put like a straight up New Jack Swing beat on top of that, and it'll be like, you know, back in the Piece of My Love, you know what I'm saying, God 2, you know what I'm saying, the God 2 album vibe era, you know what I'm saying, easily, and still kind of keep the talk box on it, but, you know what I'm saying, just, it'll sound more like that than it would sound like Future to me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. Just as you close, you mentioned Eminem, Marsha, Mary. Did you guys produce the whole album?
No, we just did. They just brought us in on that. That was like a, you know, they were working. The album was done, and they were trying to get some traction with the album, and because they have a relationship, and then the manager at the time was the manager we had from back in the day too. Our road manager was managing them.
Oh, who was that?
Floyd Norris.
Okay.
Floyd Norris was managing them, so he's like, oh, I need y'all to do, can y'all do this remix for us? And so, you know, I ended up, you know, doing the remix for it.
Okay. So that's okay. So that, because we don't really hear much about them on because I knew Abstract and Right Hand Hype. You know, that was the big one that came out. But then they did Eminem, but it's you don't see videos or
It's
anything
like
on the.
they got that one. It's like that. It's like that. I think they had 2 records off of there. It was like that was like one of them, that Eminem record. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't do anything else after that. I don't know if it's like maybe just wanted to be more of a writer, or they just, you know what I'm saying. But it's like, I know overseas it was like playing a lot, and I was like, okay, cool, because like they were playing that and they were playing Eternal, you know what I'm saying, at the same time, and like the clubs were there I was going to in them when I was in Australia.
Yeah, and I think it's even better that she became a writer, and she's done much better now
Yeah,
since then and stuff
she's
like that.
always, she's always been, for me, always been a writer in like that, on that level.
Where's Cheryl Blair now? Because you said she was your baby face, and
She just, I mean, she stopped. I don't know to the day. I mean, we still talk, you know what I'm saying, but I don't know to this day what made her just like, just say, I don't want to write anymore. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm trying to get her to come back. And like I said, she's I'll think about it. You know what I'm saying? She really just, I mean, her thing was like, I really appreciate you that you feel like I was that person for you. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully, I can get her to come back and we'll do some more, dope songs together.
yeah. But definitely, I mean, I appreciate. I mean, you've really, yeah. So this is gonna, the good when you do an interview this long, it's like fun when you're trying to edit it to put it out in 15-minute blocks. That's that's gonna
Well,
be,
that's where it gets interesting. So,
yeah.
I mean, I hopefully I gave you enough that, what I'm saying, that, hey, what I'm saying, you can put together some dope. And
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, a lot of people still are still, a lot of the Mucho stuff, a lot of stuff from Spec, especially the old school stuff. There's a lot of people that love the old stuff,
yeah,
from that 88 to like 92, 93,
yep,
and and then also just just before the first Guy album and stuff. So a lot of stuff in there, and I know eventually I'm going to talk to Teddy, but I thought, it's always better to hear all the main stuff from you guys. So when I'm interviewing him, I can just focus on his the tracks and stuff.
yeah,
Stuff
right.
like that. Had you left before Invincible came on? Michael
Yeah,
Jackson's Invincible.
yeah. I was going when they did the Invisible project.
Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely. I mean, I was like, I think the last thing I did with them, with the crew then, was the Tom Joyner boat cruise, and I was just out as their show programming the show with Ted. But they were getting ready to do the Invincible project after that, shortly after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Man, I appreciate it. I mean, but I definitely would like to hear some new music coming soon. I mean, I think that's going to be stuff to yeah, definitely need to hear you. If it seems as if you were destined to be a music creator, and then you've sort of left it on the ground for a little
Unfinished.
bit.
It's unfinished right now, so I'm definitely, I don't got my trophies. I've been nominated for a Grammy, but I got to get that. I got to get
Oh,
a few of those.
for which one? For what stuff?
On the No Diggity project, and then the Blackstreet project got nominated for a Grammy. So the Another album got nominated for a Grammy, but you know what I'm saying, it's like I didn't, they didn't win that, but they won the No Diggity.
Okay.
But I wasn't an intricate enough part of the production to get the plaque. So
Okay. Okay.
but I got my eyes on, what I'm saying, on the golden record player, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, so we need you back in, creating stuff because, people keep saying, oh, we need to move times up. But I'm saying Bruno Mars said, look, man, if I went back to old school and do it, and people are still going to buy it. So
Definitely.
good music is good music, and people follow and listen to good music, and there's places to play it, but no one is doing it and trying to experiment and stuff,
Well, yeah, because now, like I said, now is a good time to do that. You can do, you can do good projects on people, and and you don't know where it's going to end. It's like, you can put a good EP out on an artist that's just strictly R&B,
Yeah.
and you can end up getting, saying one of the hottest records in the country. I mean, Ella Mae's project came out of nowhere, and she's pretty much just R&B.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can do. I mean, you can do something like that. You just gotta write good records. Like you said, good records are good records,
Yeah.
and people
I
can
mean,
really appreciate them. You know what I'm saying? As long as the writing is like, comfortable with, terminologies, and that's the other thing. The terminologies of, can't have some old terminologies and think you're gonna have a great record in the '90s, but or in the 2000s, you have to kind of be, know how to play off the records and get, connect to the young people today and people today, period. So I think, once you do that and you make a good record, then you're definitely gone. You
yeah,
definitely
but
can.
then,
Yeah.
but I guess it's not. I think the idea is because the young people don't buy music. It's on Spotify
Oh
or
yeah, they
they
just
watch it
listen
on
to it.
YouTube. They just listen. So no one's buying them music. So you know, I could get 100, 200,000 people watching one of my YouTube stuff or listening to a track. That's where you people generate their money.
Definitely, definitely.
So and then it gets picked up in these places. So it's almost like just putting out the music, and it's available to download or it's able to stream.
Yeah.
But if you own it, as opposed to a label owning it and giving you five
Then,
cents
then you can do
of
a
your
lot
own
more.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just encourage you just to create stuff and give us an opportunity to put it out for you guys. And as long as you've got it or you're publishing in there, you get your money. Like Basic Black put out their it's
Their
this
project,
Christmas,
yeah.
yeah, and they put it. It came out a little late, so it didn't get the traction, but it's still, once it's out, it's still
It's
gonna
out.
start generating that by next November it'll pick up
Exactly.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I just encourage you guys just to
Well,
start looking.
that's definitely that's definitely the plan. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely gonna, saying, look to put out some people, a few people just produced by me and whoever else I'm working with at the time. You know what I'm saying? It might be something me and Jay Hot is doing, or like my little producers that I'm working with. But that's definitely the plan, to release some stuff. You know what I'm saying? That, the people can, hey, it was like, okay, it ain't the label that's pushing it, because the label's gonna push whatever's trendy and whatever their agenda is,
Yeah, so
or
forget the
moving the
labels.
culture.
Yeah,
And that's not my what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put out good music to the point where, hey, this record just came out of nowhere and it's a hit record. People love it, and it's sold 4 or 5 million or 2 million, or
yeah.
what I'm saying, whatever. But I'm saying, it's like, just trying to put out a good product that leaves a stake, where, as a producer, that, hey, Sprague gave us this hit classic. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
What about today? Are they? How come people like calling up Bob? Let's do a record together. Cause he's a good writer.
They actually asked me to do some stuff with them, so I'm just waiting on them to come back to the table. You know what I'm saying? I think that once I get my new studio set up, then we'll probably end up doing something. But they did call me to do some stuff with them.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's that. Some of the old guys getting back together and coming up with something that those are the stories that we'd love to listen to and stuff. So, definitely, yeah, definitely look forward to it. So, I know it's just after 11, but I
All
appreciate
right, sir.
everything, man. Yeah, so thanks a lot.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
once we get this stuff out, I've got Eric on Monday, Eric Williams.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't ask too much of the Blackstreet stuff, because I wanted to save that for him to talk about, the whole Dave leaving and him joining in and stuff. What
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
difference
yeah. That's
between the two
you
of
need
them?
that to say that.
No, for you though, because you
Absolutely.
worked with both of them. What was the difference between Eric and Dave when it comes to the vibe?
David is more of a soulful, gritty, soulful singer, like Teddy always wanted to have that sound, like a Eddie Kane, as you would say.
Okay.
He's always had that in all his groups, from for where Eric, it was Mark Middleton that had that heavy, that really shrilly voice. Eric was more the smooth balladeer that can bring you that vibe, but he, saying, he gonna kill the ladies with his smooth tones.
Yeah.
Whereas Dave was more of a feeling singer, like, say, a Faith Evans, who will give you feeling, they gonna give you the grit, but they gonna touch your spirit, because that's how he is. He's like, I want to touch your soul when I'm singing.
Yeah.
And he's gonna give you a little bit of smoothness, and he's gonna give you a little bit of the gritty, hard, edgy stuff that just when you hear it, just make your hair stand up every now and then.
Yeah.
So that's the difference in the two for me.
Yeah, and then Eric does, the Jaheim. He has a different, that drama and I Can't Get You Out of My Mind. Very different type of direction.
Right. I always tell Eric, man, I was like, you gave your whole career away to Jaheim, because I know Eric did a lot of that initial stuff. That vibe is that Jaheim vibe.
Yeah.
Really is Eric Williams. That's Eric.
Yeah. That's a lot of us know that was.
You know what I'm saying? I always tell him, I'm like, man, you pretty much gave your whole career away to Jaheim, man. You should have put all that stuff out.
But then, to be a solo artist though is not that easy, and I don't know if Eric, because he seems very withdrawn. I don't know if he would have felt comfortable being a soloist like that.
Maybe that's probably what his problem is with it, but he's still he's still writing and doing his thing. So
then why don't you write and produce with him?
Huh?
Why don't you get him to write and you produce? What?
Oh, listen, we're gonna be working together. We already planning that too.
Okay. Anyway, okay. I'm just trying to get
some stuff coming. I got some stuff coming, so you're gonna enjoy. I got some stuff that we're gonna be working on coming, and definitely make some stuff happen.
Well, hopefully by the summer you can give us some exclusives to put out on our channel, so that'll be good.
Sounds good, bro. Sounds good.
I appreciate your time. I'll let you know when it goes out and stuff. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.